Pop, set it up. Set it up. Go ahead.
Well, we just tell the people. I know we're trying to rush it along because we're running a little bit long, but tell the pizza we're going to go through some about a bet section. There's some season props. We thought it might be fun to just pick some props bets. A lot of Commanders tilt here in the discussion to get back into the Commanders a little bit, but a little bit of a setup.
Pop, I couldn't have said it better if I tried. I'm glad I passed that one on to you. Expertly done. Super Bowl odds. Who do you want to take for the Super Bowl, Pop? You got what? I think you listed out the top 6 here, top 5.
Read them off again. I interrupted you. Read them off.
49ers are plus 550, Chiefs plus 600, Ravens plus 950, Bengals plus 1300, Lions plus 1300, Bills plus 1300. How do you feel about the Bills having the same odds as the Bengals and the Lions? I think that's crazy. But yeah. What do you like here, Pop?
Oh man, so we got to pick one. It's easy to pick the Chiefs. I don't know. There's still just something about the Niners that gives me pause. You know what? I'm going to go with your Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be my pick. Put the pressure on them.
Bold pick. I think if the Ravens
this could be the year. This could be the year they break through. They were this close last year. So
I think if the Ravens were going to do it, it was last year.
It's your take.
I do really like the value of Bengals plus 1300 because I think all of a sudden the Bengals start the year 6-2 and you go, holy crap, that's right, they're back. Why did we forget about Joe Burrow? And, that's about as good as you're going to get. But I will go ahead and take the 49ers. I think if there's a team that's going to get over the hump, it is going to be San Francisco this year. So I'll go ahead and do that. But to be honest with you, man, can we both just say we're going to pick the Chiefs? I mean, I know how hard it is to do a three-peat, but do you feel good picking anybody but Kansas City?
No.
I don't. I don't want to pick the Chiefs, but I almost have to pick the Chiefs. Like, you pick the Chiefs.
I don't, but I think that look, the Ravens defense is just always good. They're always near the top. I know that they might have lost a couple guys. I didn't really follow them that closely, but I just think that offense is going to continue to climb, and I just feel like it could be a dynamic situation there with Derrick Henry and Lamar. How do you stop them? How do you stop if they're both healthy? How do you stop that offense?
I'm not so sure. I think Henry's a great running back still. It's not the Henry that we remember. It's just not.
Yeah,
he's a great running back still. It's not the Derrick Henry that was destroying fantasy leagues 3 years ago.
I think he's got one or two prime years left.
Now I think he could be more than enough when you gotta consider him and Lamar.
I think he's got one or two prime years left.
I think those are.
He's a major upgrade over anything they've had there.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah,
100% agree with that.
Next one.
You start bringing up side topics and then try and move me along before I can give you my side on it.
All right, what else you got to say?
I think the Ravens played. You've told me you want me to give you. I think the Ravens played over their skis last year. It is my personal opinion. I think they had a great defensive coach in McDonald, and I think they had a lot of guys that were nobodies that were way overperforming their talent level because of that great defensive scheme. That scheme's gone. They lost some talent on the defensive side of the ball. They did add Derrick Henry. I'm not so sure that to me, that's like a Madden franchise mode signing as opposed to a real life makes a huge impact on football signing. But I'm also the one saying Saquon Barkley is going to take the Eagles over the top. So I could be crazy. But I don't know. I think they'll still be good. I don't think
to wrap this up, we both think it's the Chiefs. But we picked the Niners and the Ravens just to kind of make it interesting a little bit. I like the odds with the Ravens at 950 as compared to the Chiefs and Niners. I tell you what, I like the Ravens more than I like the Niners. I'm still nervous about old Brock Purdy, and that's my controversial take. I know that drives you crazy, but
Yeah, that drives me crazy.
We could spend an
That's
hour
okay.
on that. Let's get to these other ones.
It's okay. He was a missed extra point away from winning a Super Bowl. But Jaden Daniels passing touchdowns over under 17.5. I guess it's minus 108 for the over, plus 108 for the under, if I'm reading that correctly.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and
so I guess they're favoring him to do that. Would mean they're favoring him to be over 17
to break it.
Yeah,
but it's a throw. Plus 108 is hardly long odds. It feels low to me. I'm going to take the over. What do you think, Pop?
Yeah, it's a little over 1 touchdown a game. You would think there'd be some breakout games. I think the risk here is just, does he play every game? I do think it's going to be a bit more of a run first offense and maybe finishing strong, finishing with runs to score versus passes he could score with his legs. I'll show faith in Jaden. I'll go over here as well. But I get the number. I understand the number because I think this could be 18 touchdown, but like a really low interception number too, like a 3, 4, 5 interceptions, or maybe below 10 would be more realistic. It is the NFL, but like he would say, let's call it 18-8. I think it's going to be a situation where he protects the ball really well, plays smart, maybe tries to get the ball downfield, but it's going to be more of the lower risk variety, much more balanced offense. That's my vibe going into it. Now it depends, right? I think if the only way we see Jaden, this is going to sound like a really stupid statement, but bear with me. The only way we see Jaden blow through that number is if he really connects and really hits the ground running, and all of a sudden Kingsbury just has more and more confidence of taking the reins off and turning him loose, right? But it's not going to be a Sam Howell situation where they're just throwing the ball all the time and his numbers look great, but when you really look at the performance, it's less than what it should be. I guess that's my point.
Yeah, I mean, as terrible as the offense was last year, Howell was, frankly, we're far enough removed from it. He doesn't wear our colors anymore. Howell was terrible. As terrible as that whole situation was, 21 touchdowns last year. So I think you got to at least say that Jaden can get there, personally. So I'll take the over on that.
But he had to be close to leading the league in attempts too, right? Which I don't think will be anywhere near the situation.
I agree, but I don't necessarily think the attempts translates to the touchdowns as much. But we can keep that one moving because it's not like they were going down the field. But anyways, Terry McLaurin, K. Cots, not listed on FanDuel passing props. They don't want to lose money, man, because how do you set that line? That's just impossible with Jaden Daniels. I guess it's just a matter of, right?
Yeah, I guess it's just a matter of that. But I don't like the disrespect. I mean, there's probably I don't know. There's a bunch of receivers listed here.
Let's do it
for the 20 to 30 range, right? So
let's do it for the pod. Terry McLaurin gets his 5th 1,000-yard season.
Without a doubt.
Both agree on that, right?
Without
Easily.
A doubt. I think they're going to feed him.
1250. Over under.
Over
1250.
I'm a Terry McLaurin mark. And one thing that I was listening to Denton Day on the radio this morning, giving him credit. He's a really good young talent on 106.7. And he mentioned the fact that actually, this is year 2 of Terry's 3-year extension. He burned a year last year, absolutely torched it. So this is a big year for him because you don't want to go into that 3rd year. You're going to have to make a decision about Terry McLaurin realistically after this season. Right. Yeah. And so it's a big year for him, and I think they're going to feed him. The question is, does he have enough help at the other receiver positions? Well, I still think is a big question mark.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, that's where it really gets interesting is if Terry does okay, but Jahan shows a ton of promise, what do you do at the end of this year? There's a lot of interesting dialogue here.
No, I want that to be a pod topic. This receiving group as a whole, I think I want to spend a little extra time on that on a follow-up pod because
I
I think it's an
agree. Yeah,
interesting conversation. And there's some
I
players
agree.
out there. Do you trade for them? Don't you? Should you boost that group? I think it teaser, but maybe that would be on next week's pod.
Let us know in the comments if you want to hear a receivers specific segment. If you guys would be interested in that, I definitely think we could spend some time talking about that. It's probably the second most interesting position group to quarterback on this team. Commanders over under 6.5 wins. Let's move on here. Pop,
I
it's
think we're
minus
both.
115 for the over and then minus 105 for the under.
It's
So what do you
interesting,
think?
right? So it tells you Vegas is right on the
Yeah,
edge there. We kind of laughed at. I forget what the over under was last year. Was it 6.5 or
six
five
and a
and a half?
half.
And we
Yeah,
laughed at it. I think it depends on which ways the breaks go, but I do think that it's a favorable schedule for the Commanders. I mean, we both picked 9 wins, but neither one of us were real comfortable with that pick. I think we both said we'd be more comfortable with 7 or 8. I definitely go over. I'm going to give the homer pick, but it's probably more likely like a 7, maybe an 8 win year for us this year.
yeah. I'm gonna go with the homer pick and take the over as well. I'm starting to have a lot of faith in the whole Jane Daniels situation here. Commanders are plus 310 to make the playoffs, minus 420 to miss. I don't mind getting a bit of value here and saying they take that plus 310. I don't think we necessarily want to make a pick. Do you want to make a pick there?
Nah, I think this. I think you nailed it. You took the thought out of my mind. I think some of these other ones are just more for sharing what the odds look like. But I'd put a few
Yeah.
bucks on that, maybe a $5 bet
Sprinkle
on
a couple
them.
units on it. Why not,
Yeah, to
right?
make the playoffs. But not the one that I have a lot of confidence in. No point in picking them to miss it, right? Like at minus
Yeah.
420, that's kind of silly. So
Sure.
you want to
Yeah,
take a flyer there? Yeah.
that's a real degenerate pick if you're taking that minus 420. You might need to call 1-800 gambler. But Commanders plus 6,000 to win the NFC East. That's speaking of degenerate picks. I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
anybody could have picked there,
Again, you
but
want to
it
throw a
is
couple of bucks at it just to, you know,
have some fun.
just to win a bunch of money, maybe, but yeah.
Have some fun. Might as well throw in a Super Bowl pick while you're there. It's plus 15,000, I believe, to win the Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
we
We
kind of
are,
skipped over that. Let's cycle back to that at the end here.
yeah. So we are in the bottom
I like
four.
this next one. This next one's I picked this one out. This is an interesting one.
So starting quarterback, Daniels straight up not listed. I'd assume because you didn't write him down. Caleb Williams is also not listed, right?
Caleb or Jaden. So basically, Vegas is telling you they
They're
expect
starting.
Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams to be starters. They're not even putting up prop bets for them.
Number 0 in your program, number 2 on your depth chart, apparently.
Hopefully, number 0 in snaps this season too, unless we're up big.
God willing, God willing. Yeah, let's take a few snaps week 17. Why not? We've already
Yeah.
made the playoffs at that point, right? Daniel's not listed there, but Darnold is. Darnold at minus 210 over McCarthy, who's plus 162. Go ahead and get that money and take McCarthy there, personally. I think it's not going to be that hard to beat out Sam Darnold in a camp
You would
battle.
think. You would
Yeah.
think.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and take J.J. McCarthy there.
Vegas is favoring Darnold, so I thought that was an interesting situation.
Yeah. Not by much, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take McCarthy there. Brissett minus 460 or May plus 255.
Heavy favorite. Jacoby's a heavy favorite there.
And from everything that it sounds like is coming out of New England, I don't think they're going to start May. I don't think at all. And Vegas obviously agrees with me. Vegas doesn't give out minus 460.
Yeah, there's not a lot of
often.
optimism about this season for New England in general. So, it doesn't make sense to roll out the rookie there, especially since everything we've heard is that he's a development guy. Struggled a bit in OTAs so far. I would wait. I'd wait the whole season personally if I'm New England. I would be in no rush because I think Jacoby, unless he gets injured, he's going to be solid. We know this, and I think he's actually going to be a great fit for a young team like that and a team that, maybe they can squeeze out a respectable year with a Jacoby Brissett at quarterback.
I think they would need Jezu, a quarterback, to squeeze out a respectable year in New England. I think it's going to be rough. But Mac Jones, minus 460, or sorry, Daniel Jones,
Daniel Jones.
minus 460. Mac Jones will not be starting. I think he's the backup in Jacksonville now, if I remember correctly. But Daniel Jones, minus 460, or Drew Lock, plus 320.
Here's what I think happens here. I think unless he just comes apart at the seams during preseason or training camp, it's going to be Jones's job, but I think he's going to have a super short leash. Super short leash. So week one, I'd expect it to be Daniel Jones, but I'm not sure how long that lasts. Because Drew Lock's a guy that people forget. He was going to be the starting quarterback in Seattle before he got injured. He was getting talked up in terms of how good he looked before he got hurt. And not to say that I think he's a great quarterback, but I think he's one of those guys that can show you enough in practice and in preseason and in sparks in games where I don't know the difference between those two guys is that great. And, everybody loves the backup quarterback.
Yeah, I think unless Daniel Jones gets conkied or something, I think he's going to finish the season. I got Daniel Jones. I think they're just going to let Jones and Dayball dig their own graves this season.
The heat gets turned up in New York. The heat gets turned up in New York.
I think if he struggles,
they're gonna go to Lock.
Yeah, I think they're just gonna let it get nuked, in my opinion.
So real quick here, because we do need to wrap. Let's just cycle back. We kind of skipped over on Super Bowl odds. I just want to mention, this is more for data point, that the Commanders are in the bottom 4 teams currently on FanDuel. And we're seeing that a lot. Maybe a topic for one of the next couple of weeks' pods. We're seeing that there's not a lot of faith. I'm sorry to keep you up there, son. Not a lot of faith in the Commanders. I never had it. I don't think this is the first recorded yawn on a podcast.
You've definitely yawned. I mean, excuse me for yawning. Go ahead, Pop. We're tight on time, man. We got to run through this.
All right. Well, anyway, it's the Commanders, then the Broncos at plus 15,000, the Patriots at plus 18,000, and the Panthers. So we're in that bottom 4. Seeing more and more of that come out. Getting a gauge of where Vegas, who's rarely wrong, and the rest of the league kind of see this team. It's interesting. Whiteboard material.
Yeah, I'm not.
Not bothered by it.
No, the reality of it is there's 32 teams in the NFL, right? And if you're an odds maker, why are you wasting your time, or why? Like, you're not going to stick your neck out for the team. I don't think anybody in the national media, I don't think any of the odds makers, I don't think anybody aside from someone like the ESPN talking heads that need to say things to get reactions from time to time. I don't think they have any business sticking their heads out for a 4-13 football team with a new owner, new general manager, new head coach, new rookie quarterback. Like, there's way too many question marks from a national perspective for you to stick your neck out for this team.
But if I bet $1, I have no problem with it. I get $15,000 if the Commanders win the Super Bowl.
I'm not sure that's how that works.
I'm not a math guy, but
I don't think that's how that works, because if you bet something at plus 100, you don't get $100.
Maybe that's what it is. It's $150 or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a little closer. So yeah, throw $1. I mean, why not? Throw $1 and it pays for all your snacks for your well, in today's economy, I don't know if it pays for all your Super Bowl party snacks, but it might pay for the beer. I don't know. Anyways, let's wrap this thing up.
Dom needs a nap. We got to wrap this thing up. He needs a nap.
In this economy, is a BYOB Super Bowl party over at this house. I'm not running those kind of calculations. Anyways, without further ado,
get some rest,
wrap this thing up. I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Have a nice week, guys.